Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's a Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you're with me. KJRadio.com is where you can find out more about us, and you can get the show 24/7 on demand. If you want to give us a call, 844-551-8255. We'd love to hear from you. So, I didn't realize this. You probably didn't either if you grew up in sane times, but there are 3 genders. And I'm sure that by the time it's all said and done with the left, there'll be the 51 or whatever number Facebook is at. Oregon, a while back, this happened in June, became the first state in history to offer more than 2 gender options on identity documents, driver's licenses, things like that, making it the first to legally recognize what they call non-binary, intersex, and agender people on ID cards. If you know what that means, please explain it to me. You can say, I don't declare a gender. I understand somebody saying I was born with both and had to, but at some point you make a decision. I don't know. I could see that, but like there's some national outcry of people with multiple genders. There's male and female, and there are people who occasionally get born with both parts. Generally, they make a decision or their parents make the decision for them. And I can understand one of them saying, I don't feel like a man or I don't feel like a woman or what have you. And I understand that. We recognize. Everything else, I don't really get. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's strange to me. Can we just make a choice? Is it really that big of a deal to declare I'm a man, I'm a female? Right now, we live in a time where I believe people are treated equally. So I know women would go, I would never choose to be a woman in a man's world. Really? There are a lot of guys that probably would differ with you and say it's a woman's world. If you know how to be a woman in this world, you can have it all. That's easily provable. They say when the history-making rule, which the State Transportation Commission passed last Thursday, this is back in June, goes into effect on July 3rd, Oregon residents will have the option to choose among 3 gender categories when applying for their ID cards: male, female, and X for non-binary or unspecified. You can unspecify your gender. I don't know if anybody can do this. Do they check? What is the procedure? I would really like to know how you can declare one or the other. I look at a woman, I say that's a woman. I look at a man, and I get that there are times we're confused. I've seen Maury, okay? But the question is, when you're identifying someone in a traffic stop, in a wreck, in a hit and run, in a police chase, it was a non-binary, unspecified person. Okay, so I don't need to look for a man or a woman. What am I looking for, a gopher? We got a gopher. Now, Governor Jerry Brown, Moonbeam of California, has signed what they're calling landmark legislation. They call it the Gender Recognition Act. It officially recognizes non-binary gender option on California state-issued IDs, driver's license, and birth certificates. Senate Bill 179 will make an easier process for individuals who want to change their gender on legal documents. Law states that a person would no longer require a sworn statement from a physician approving the gender transition for the legal document to reflect this different gender. It will also create a new process for people under the age of 18 to apply for a gender change on their birth certificates. It will go into effect in 2019. Now, when you understand the culture war that is upon you, folks, that there are really 2 genders, we understand there are permutations. I get it. But to make it something to where we now have to recognize all of this, it reminds me of politics where they say, we need lots of people, we don't need Democrats or Republicans. And I'm not going to argue that you don't need multiple things. I've seen how other democracies work, like England, that have, 14 different groups that vie for political office, and they form coalitions and what have you. I get it. But I think that we're pretty clear that it takes a man and a woman to procreate, and we have 2 genders, and the other genders are a little different. Things that where you what do they call it? Dysmorphia, things like that, where you believe yourself to be something different. I understand that. And you may be a man trapped in a woman's body, but biologically, you're a man. You may be a woman trapped in a man's body, but biologically, you're a woman. Your mind may have a disjoint between the two. I get the miswiring. I do. And I don't want to seem insensitive to this. I just think that to pass, this is where I go back to, we pass legislation because a handful of people have decided, I don't like making a choice. I don't like that you're forcing me to pick one over the other, as if it really matters. Now, again, if women say, well, we're treated unfairly, okay, then I guess you could pick to be a man now? Does it make you a man? Well, let me ask you, what is the ultimate outcome of all of this when you think about it? The ultimate outcome. Where do we end up? Do we just get to pick and choose or is it a Dolezal world in with respect to color? I can choose whatever color. Is it a Elizabeth Warren world where I can choose whatever ethnicity I choose to be? Hillary Clinton, where I can choose to be whatever gender. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, she is a girl, I guess. You guys, you get where I'm going. This is the craziness of leftism. Leftism says, okay, kids growing up, we're going to confuse you about boys and girls. We want you to believe that you can choose and be whatever you want to be, pick and choose. And if you decide that you're a little boy and you want to be with other boys, that doesn't make you gay because you can declare to be a woman, in which case you're okay. Now, so what? You can't have babies. You don't have fallopian tubes. You don't have a uterus. It doesn't matter. You can pick and choose. You're a black kid. You don't want to be considered black because you want to experience white privilege, and just say you're white. That'll do it. Because you know what the left is? They're all about these boxes. Put yourself in a brand new series of boxes. Ask yourself this question, folks. What happens when you've got 5 new gender categories and then they go, oh, this gender category is really being stepped on by the other gender categories. I don't know what the gender category would be. Non-binary, asexual whatevers are being stepped on by the binaries. You think government is really, they care about it in the sense of, oh, well, let's make sure that everybody's represented. They're looking for another way to get your money, to pit somebody else against you. It'll be the regular genders, the male and females, against all the non-binaries, whatever that ends up being. Idiots.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. Few issues arouse so much interest as Barack Obama's grades. And I remember telling people at the time when they were touting this man as being the smartest guy, the smartest president ever, I said there's zero proof of that. I would love to see that because I have never seen someone who doesn't want to talk about their grades. He's supposed to be brilliant. He presents himself, is this eloquent orator. And at the time I was asking everybody, look, I get it. I understand that you see you're looking at him and saying he appears intelligent. I get that he uses big flowery words and things like this, but I just want to see his grades because if he's as smart as they say, I'd like to see him. I've had this argument with many blacks. I said, but Barack Obama's supposed to be brilliant, right? Show me his Harvard transcript. He was president of Law Review who got one job offer after he graduated Harvard with a Juris Doctorate degree. He was an attorney who couldn't pass the bar multiple times and before he finally passes it. He goes to work at a crooked law firm owned by Tony Resco, who's now in prison, the guy who negotiated the deal on Barack Obama's house. He was so bad, people that worked with him said he was horrible. They sent him out into the field where he became a community organizer and sucked at that. Show me the brilliance. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying if he's brilliant, I will admit it. None of his policies showed any level of brilliance. I remember the revelation because, you see the guy and you go, he's well-spoken, blah, blah, blah. I get it. No surprise to me. There are well-spoken black people. Wow. But for white Democrats, that was, look at this black, huh? How racist is that? We're never going to find another one like him. We better jump on this guy. So they're trying to convince me that he's something special. And I go, he comes out with a policy that says we need to tax people all the way through for Social Security, all the way through the whatever income you make. So if you make $1 million, you would pay between you and your company $115,000, give or take, $113,000 in Social Security every year. Social Security insurance. Now I want you to think about that. If you work 20 years and you're saving up $100,000 at no interest, you would retire with $20 million. Now you've got $20 million of Social Security insurance. What do you think they're going to pay you when you retire in 40 years? And you start drawing from the government, they're going to pay you $2,000 a month. Now, outside of the fact that you're getting completely ripped off, the other thing is and your company too, by the way, who's matching this, the company really carries the brunt because they are only looking at a certain amount of money that every employee can cost as a maximum. They say, no matter how much money you make, our SG&A, our overhead for you, and in Social Security, employment insurance, blah, 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 is only going to be $10,000. So they add that to whatever your package is. I'm going to offer you $130,000 a year, Kevin, but they've averaged in all the other stuff. And they say, so that's technically 140, 150, whatever. If that number goes up to being practically unlimited, you're hurting companies who have to pass that along to the consumer, who also look at what they call high income employees differently then, and so on and so forth. So it proved to me that Barack Obama had no clue how business worked and what the ripple effect would be with that type of policy. And it bugged me because I'm going, that's like business 101. You can't come in and do something like that. You've got a system that's broken. Social Security, you want people that at the maximum, you're already paying in $10,000 to $15,000 a year in insurance premiums, because it's not your money, it's a premium. You're paying that much money in that you may never get, and he wants to make that an unlimited payment, which means the government would have even more dollars from these high income people that is not going to be paid out to them when they die. Like I said, there's nothing on Social Security, if you pulled it out and made it a private sector deal, that would be legal. People would look at this plan and go, are you kidding me? That's usury. That's a fraud. Kevin, it's an insurance policy. Let me tell you, an insurance policy that only you can cash. The insurance policy that says when you die, whatever monies you've put into there are done. They're gone. What kind of there is nothing about this plan that works. So anyway, when they were talking about his grades, I said, look, based on what you're telling me, I will tell you Barack Obama has a surface level intelligence where he can dazzle the average person. It's like me with piano. If you listen to me play piano and you're not a piano player, you're going to go, that dude is good. But if you play any piano, if you've played piano your life, I'm not talking about be a concert pianist or be playing in a band, but if you know how to play piano, you go, he's okay. He's a rookie piano player. But you're not going to go, oh, Kevin's brilliant. You should watch him play Tchaikovsky. I can't play Tchaikovsky or Stravinsky or whoever if you put a gun to my head. I can play a few chords, put them together melodically, let you gyrate, erotically, and everybody's happy. But other than that, I'm a piano player at best. And I'm nothing more. That's what Barack Obama is. He's a piano player. He knows a little bit about a lot, enough to fool the average person, which there happens to be a lot of them. But when you're looking at stuff and if you're even 2 layers deep, you can spot this dude for the fool that he is. Anyway, at the time, they wrote of him, New York Times to Dave Moranis of the Washington Post to Donald Trump, they say, have weighed in on what his grades might or might be. And despite the interest, we still don't know what they are. Obama has yet to release his academic records from Occidental, 79 to 81, Columbia, 91 to 83, or Harvard, 88 to 91. Theories abound, but one that has largely been ignored is maybe they're hidden because they reveal that he was entirely average. How so? New research into Occidental and Columbia archives this is the Blaze article, shows that Obama transferred from Occidental during a time of rampant grade inflation and entered Columbia during one of the easiest years to transfer in recent memory. And they go on to explain the grading system that it changed that would get him from Occidental into Columbia. And you could be average, particularly if you were black. Now we find out WikiLeaks is likely going, maybe they've done it now. I don't know. I didn't follow the story, but I saw that Julian Assange says we're going to be releasing Barack Obama's transcripts. And the funny thing about it to me is what took so long? How did we let the left hold us hostage over how brilliant this guy is? But here's the beauty of it, that it is being released in the time of Donald Trump. We've got the NFL under fire. We've got capitalism is making a resurgence because we've got Donald Trump fighting back on behalf of us. We've got Hollywood reeling. The left are reeling from all these allegations of Harvey Weinstein, and we're going to cover that in some really interesting stories coming up here in a bit later in the broadcast. But in the time of Trump, we finally get to look at how stupid, how book dumb Barack Obama was, and we get to put yet another nail in the coffin of these idiot leftists who wanted to convince us that he was the smartest guy on the planet. And what's that going to say about Hillary Clinton and, of course, Joe Biden and all the people that he selected? Yet again, we get an answer.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. So the Harvey Weinstein thing, as I've said, has tentacles that go throughout lots of industries. Politics is one that's obvious. We've seen the connection between Weinstein and Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Michelle Obama, you name it. He's been seen with the heavyweights of the DC, elitist on the left. He is an avowed leftist. I mean, to a degree that, it pegs the scale, right? It pegs the meter. And there's no doubt about this. And so now they're looking at it and they're going, well, are there other people? And of course there are. There are other people. I've been talking about this for a long time. I said, here's what's interesting about this whole Weinstein thing. There have been allegations on allegations. You've got people that now I think it's up to 33 women with Weinstein. I guarantee you there's dozens more if it doesn't get into the hundreds. And they're now starting to speak out. And they're calling themselves courageous. I haven't seen anybody courageous except for Rosa McGowan, who's been trying to blow the whistle on this guy for the better part of 2 decades. And, we talked about her ad nauseum. And now people are coming out going, oh, yeah, I quit having, this idea about Harvey when I found out that he did this to a friend of mine. So even in doing something to a close friend, as Kevin Spacey alleges about Weinstein, he didn't blow the whistle. Brad Pitt had 2, not 1, but 2 different girlfriends. One of them turned wife that Weinstein did something to, and he threatened to beat him up. But he said nothing after that. I've talked to you about different people coming out. None of them, not a single one of them, has said anything about Weinstein, or about others. We've got other people that are talking about, oh, well, there are other directors. They're still out there. Hollywood, we're waiting. We're waiting. You've been talking about Corey Feldman, to this day, will not name the person who molested him and caused the death of his friend Corey Haim, who dealt with these demons his whole life. And it wasn't one. They talk about a circle of these men, a cabal. They don't say a word. Terry Crews, I said, he got grabbed in the crotch by some gay, powerful guy in Hollywood. And to this moment, Terry Crews won't tell you who he is, who that person is. Let me let you hear this cut of Jennifer Lawrence talking about her. And then, of course, Reese Witherspoon just came out and said, oh, something happened to me. Listen to this news report of these ladies, and then explain to me why nobody's saying anything.
Reese Witherspoon wasn't the only actress to speak out on Monday night. Jennifer Lawrence also opened up at the Elle Women in Hollywood event about the, quote, humiliating and degrading experience she had in the early days of her career. The 27-year-old actress, who was one of 8 honorees Monday night, told the crowd that she was asked by producers to slim down drastically for one of her first roles, telling her she needed to lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks, and revealing that another actress before her had already been fired for not losing the weight fast enough. Lawrence goes on to say, during this time, a female producer had me do a nude lineup with about 5 women who were much, much thinner than me. We all stood side by side with only tape covering our privates. She continues, after that degrading and humiliating lineup, the female producer told me I should use the naked photos of myself as inspiration for my diet. Lawrence said she tried to stand up for herself and told another producer she thought the weight loss demands were not appropriate. But the producer responded that he, quote, thought she was perfectly blankable. The actress said that she felt trapped by the experience, telling the crowd, I let myself be treated a certain way because I felt I had to for my career. She went on to say, I'm still learning that I don't have to smile when a man makes me uncomfortable. Every human being should have the power to be treated with respect because they're human.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. Jennifer Lawrence, avowed leftist, friends with Amy Schumer, the girl who talks about fat shaming. That she's out in Hollywood, Amy Schumer, and who knows what they're asking this girl to do for her to build her career. But then she says, I get fat shamed, and she pretends that it's us. It's conservative men who've made her feel this way. Who do you think makes her feel this way? You think it's you? You think it's conservative women? You think it's conservative men? Or do you think it's Hollywood? Hollywood has made this woman feel little. Now, she's built her career. I don't know what she had to do. My suspicion is, listening to Amy Schumer's, if you've ever heard one of her sets, Amy Schumer's probably been passed around quite a bit in Hollywood. Not that anybody would admit to it, but let's just say there's a couple of books in her about what she did to get ahead, because she makes no bones about her sexuality and what she does as a woman. So my point to it is this. She's being fat shamed. Her best friend is telling you that she's being fat shamed. She's getting roles, but she's also talking about sexual harassment. This even by women telling her, hey, well, use your nudes to get some as an inspiration to lose weight. Then you get Reese Witherspoon saying, oh, yeah, when I was 16, I was on the casting couch. Which of these women weren't? Now, let me ask you, how many Republicans, how many conservatives do you think are in Hollywood that are putting these women on the casting couch, who are fat shaming them, who are doing whatever it is that they have all this anger and this angst on? Do you think it's us? Do you think they're looking back going, it's really bad that we're blaming conservative men for doing these things, when in fact it's not only the women who are supposed to be helping them break through the glass ceilings, fat shaming them, they're the ones helping the men take complete advantage of them. And they want to blame you. See, this is what's being exposed. Every time one of these young ladies, that's going too far. Every time one of these chicks comes out with a new story, with a new thing, it's just more of the same. Now, I go back and I ask you this question again. Outside of Harvey Weinstein's brother outing him, we wouldn't even know about this dude. If it weren't for the fact that his company leaked an internal memo about Harvey, we wouldn't be talking about this subject. Harvey Weinstein would be continuing his sexual predation on young women in Hollywood. But the bigger question is this, and I'm going to come back to it over and over. Why is Hollywood not outing all the other lecherous people in their circles? Why? They have the opportunity now to bring the spotlight on every single Hollywood studio head, Hollywood mogul, director, producer, whomever. They could blow up Hollywood. They could put in a whole new infrastructure of people that are willing to, do it by the book, play it right, live by the same rules and standards that every other corporation has to live by, but they haven't done it. And I'll tell you, ask yourself if this were happening in any sector of American business, whether it was the distribution sector, the manufacturing sector, the service sector, you name it. Name me one regular business that could get away with this, that wouldn't be under FBI investigation, where heads wouldn't be rolling, blood flowing through Wall Street if this happened. Name me one. You think Silicon Valley can get away with this? Name me one. Even with the power of Google, Facebook, Yahoo, and on, they couldn't get away with this. Hollywood has gotten away with this stuff for decades. And here's what Hollywood can do. And I've said this many times. Hollywood can tell you, you're too fat, you're too black, you're too ugly, you're too Mexican, you're too female, you're too male, you're too butch, you're too gay, you're too straight. They can dictate to you, breaking all the rules. And then they want us to believe there are rules. Rules that are made to be broken. Written in Hollywood's charter. We can break all the rules. We don't have to follow how many black people we have, how many women we have, how many Mexicans, how many Guatemalan midgets. We can do whatever we want. And I can use my power to exert influence over you. I can blacklist you publicly. You will never work in this town again. You think the movies just made that crap up? Look at what's happening right now. Every one of these people, their excuse. What's their excuse? I didn't want to ruin my career. I was afraid it was going to hurt my career. My career. Wide open. See, this is what's the interesting thing about leftism. They can put their debauchery, their lecherous nature right in front of your face. And then they have the people to protect them. Barack Obama coming in, flying in for parties, doing Hollywood galas at $35,000, $50,000 a plate. You think that was because these guys really respect Barack Obama and they respect their lifestyles? These are king makers and king breakers. And they said to Barack Obama, if you want to be king, you'll come kiss the ring. And he flies out there. He doesn't care who he's amongst. He's amongst rapists and thieves and philanderers. You name it. He's amongst them all. And he's enjoying himself.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Talking about Harvey Weinstein, the fallout of Harvey Weinstein. It's a big deal. I've explained it multiple times, and it's something that we all need to be looking into because this has gone on a long time. This isn't something that's fresh and new. Harvey Weinstein's been doing this for at least 3 decades. It goes back to much older times. And I want to cover other types of scenarios where you may not have thought about what goes on and why people work so hard to get these reputations and how they help each other build these reputations and how you end up with these, quote, pedophile rings or these sexual assault rings and things like this in Hollywood. Things that you and I have no clue. You're going, Kevin, surely you're joking. You can't be serious about this. Oh, I'm serious about it. It's a cabal. And this isn't Alex Jones conspiracy stuff, folks. This is real. Harvey Weinstein exposed the real life conspiracy that goes on right in front of your face. Think about how Hollywood sexualizes everything. Little girl pageants and dance competitions and pageantry across the board, and then look at how they objectify women with the photo shoots and all this. It's all about sexuality. Look, I get it. Sex sells. I get it. But what these guys do with it, what they're able to, the carrot that they're able to put in front of the average person's face is very difficult to say no. Even to kids who've been taught morality. Hollywood is truly a Sodom and Gomorrah. So I want to talk about another area where this goes into that you may not have thought about, but there was an article and it says he is Ann Leibovitz. He's the Ann Leibovitz of his generation, having shot every culturally relevant celebrity in the past decade. Lady Gaga, Rihanna, Beyonce. He is the man behind Miley Cyrus's controversial makeover and directed her video for Wrecking Ball. In 2007, he photographed Barack Obama for Vibe. His work appears in nearly every major fashion publication, and he's done campaigns for multi-billion-dollar luxury brands. If you're ahead of me, you're thinking to yourself now, whoa, wait a minute. Fashion, branding, marketing, where does this end? He also likes to be called Uncle Terry. Has depicted himself, get this folks, copulating with a sheep, and once embarked on a project called Breaking in the Carpet, photographing himself ejaculating on rugs in random hotel rooms. I want you to understand the left. I want you to understand the thought process these people put into the crazy ideas around what they can do sexually. What can offend you? What can they, when you think of all the nasty, slimy things that happen, I've told my kids many times, do not pick up anything off of the floor of a hotel and think it's good. I mean, you don't pick up anything off the floor, but I'm saying if it's on the floor, you gotta, even if you drop an object, go wash it. Don't walk barefoot on a hotel floor. Bring your slippers. Don't sleep on the top blanket of a hotel, etc. All these rules, these are not rules for you and me, folks. We go to a hotel, we respect them. This guy goes to hotels and documents what he calls breaking in the carpet as he pleasures himself on the carpet and probably giggles because you're going to follow. You and your family are going to be after him, and he can go, look what I did on that rug in that place where this conservative is going to come. This square is going to come and hang out. In the fashion industry, folks, Terry Richardson, he of the plaid shirt, oversized glasses, and omnipresent thumbs up gesture, is notorious for years-long rampant reports of sexually exploiting and abusing his models. I was a shy kid, he says, and now I'm this powerful guy with a boner dominating all these girls. That's a quote from him. You think this is limited to him? Have I told you guys about academia? Have I told you guys that you get a kid who decides to become a professor and he gets tenure at a college, and then you send your young co-eds to him, male or female, and he holds what in their hands? Their futures. And you think he doesn't have his power, and now that he's got his power and his boner, he's ready to go to town on your kids. It's well known, folks, within academia that professors will use and abuse young students for their own personal satisfaction. Gratification. I was going to make a new word. Satisfaction. Gratisfaction. Call it whatever you want. It happens. We know it. Academia, leftism, in your face, it's under your nose, and they tell you what they're doing. And you know what you do? You send them there. How many kids, you got a beautiful daughter or something, and you go, yeah, my daughter, she's really beautiful, kid. Yeah, we think she could be a model. You better rephrase it. I think I could send her to a sexual predator who will take advantage of her and change her whole outlook on life. Because that's what we're talking about. Over the past couple of weeks, Terry Richardson, 48, has a new accomplishment. He's the first photographer of his statue to be statue. I was thinking, if they have a statue for him, I hope they're tearing it down. Of his stature, to be the target of an online petition. Vogue, H&M, Mango, Supreme, and all other brands, stop using alleged sex offender Terry Richardson as your photographer. That's what a young girl, 18 years old, decided she would do, is to start a petition against him. I don't know who this girl is. I didn't bother to research the story beyond this. Her name is Alice Louise. She's a Londoner. She's from the outskirts of London. She has no connection to the fashion industry other than as a consumer. But she put out a petition that has more than 12,000 signatures, and she's outed yet another sexual predator in another industry. And let me tell you something about Terry Richardson. You're going to go find out he's got a litany of awards. This guy, as I said, he takes pictures of the stars. You go to his studio, he's got every major star there. And you can bet you're going to find pictures of the president. You're going to find pictures of Hillary Clinton. You're going to find pictures of every big-time leftist on the planet. You're going to find pictures of every big-time Hollywood studio, record producers, moguls of all types. And then you're going to find out that Terry does lots of charity work. His charity's in his photography. Shows up, he takes pictures, he does this or that. Our photographer for the event was Terry Richardson. And they give each other awards. And then what they do is they pass around the youngsters. Another secret of Hollywood these people don't even talk about. Now, Picture yourself. You're in Hollywood. You're around Weinstein and his ilk, and you know how the game is played, and people are bringing their young, impressionable kids to you, and they're introducing you as this is the guy that takes pictures of the stars. If he decides he's going to photograph you, you're in. You've made it. So what do? Do you want it's like, have you ever been shopping and you go, well, I'm just going to go get something, a C-level product. And you go there, and then the guy takes you and he shows you an A-level product. And you're like, whoa, and he tells you all the features and benefits of that product. Do you really want to go see the C-level product again? It takes a lot of discipline to go back to that. Lots of discipline. That's why they upsell you. So you go meet Terry, and there's no other photographer that can do. And he tells you how busy he is. And he tells you he makes stars, and you go into his office and you see everybody that this guy is with. Stars, political elites, the entertainment elites. And he's like, yeah, I may get around to you, but you know what? Then I may not. But you could expedite, you could help the process. And so what do you think these 18-something, these 20-somethings decide to do? It's unbelievable. In the past week, H&M announced via Twitter it's reconsidering further collaborations with Richardson. They say this: if these accusations are true, and it's totally unacceptable to us, currently we're not working with Terry Richardson. Well, let's hope that sticks.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you guys are with me. I just noticed that there's a list. It's called the Salon's list of top conservatives to follow on Twitter. Now, if you don't know what Salon is, Salon's a magazine. It is a leftist magazine in the same building as Newsmax, which, by the way, is a leftist publication that tries to pass itself off as conservative. But Salon is nothing but leftism. And they're struggling these days. Look at all the leftists. I dare you go out and look at their newspapers, their online presence, and have them reconcile Weinstein and the fallout that's coming. We just profiled a guy named Terry Richardson, the photographer to the stars. This guy's a pedophile. I've called Hollywood out for saying, hey, look, you've got Weinstein. It's time for you to expose the dirty underbelly of leftism, because that's what you are. It's just there is no such thing as a dirty underbelly of leftism, because leftism is dirty all over. But you have a chance now as leftists to expose Hollywood and to straighten out an industry. And you know what they're doing? Nobody's naming names to this day. A bunch of disingenuous pukes, and they hate it because we get to be sanctimonious and say, yeah, what do you think now? Oh, Donald Trump, he grabbed a woman by the blank, or he talked about grabbing a woman by this. What about that, conservatives? Yeah, what about that? What about Terry Richardson? How many young girls has this man molested? How many young co-eds have professors in colleges and universities around this country held their futures hostage based on them performing sexual favors? How many of those pedophiles lurk in our presence? And then what of Weinstein and others? How many of those people that should have been called out by now, that people should have, they're still talking all cryptic. Well, one time this producer did this to me. What's his name? What's her name? What producer? Oh, so-and-so fat shamed me. Who's the person? Give us a name. They don't give you a name. They don't want you to know. I don't want to ruin someone's career. I don't want to be known as a whistleblower. I don't want to be... Oh, so you're okay with it happening to the next person. If we could only save one person. Yeah, you bunch of liars. And you know what? Guys like me, we point it out, because you know what it also means? It means you're lying about how black people are treated in this country. You're lying about Donald Trump. You're lying about the church. You're lying about capitalism. You're lying about everything you talk about. You will lie to our faces, you bunch of worthless pieces of shoe leather. Oh, man, it's fun to watch. So look at all these trade rags that are out there talking about stuff. And so Salon says, here's a list of top conservatives to follow on Twitter. And I looked at the list, and almost to a person, they're anti-Trumpers. Follow Steve King. Follow what's his name? Bill Kristol. Follow so-and-so. All anti-Trumpers. And they tell you, yeah, well, he's anti-Trump, and this one's anti-Trump, and that's anti-Trump. You know what? I'm glad you outed the anti-Trump crowd. Go ahead and follow them, because you know what Salon Magazine isn't going to have you do? They're not going to have you follow the conservatives who absolutely are willing to get in their grill. They're not going to have you follow the warriors that are out there fighting the good fight each and every day. They're not going to do that. They would prefer to live the lie. Oh, yeah, they love it. They love to live that lie. They love it. Right in your face, rampant sexual predation, sexual assault on your sensibilities. Take sexual off. Assault, predation on America, American values. And then they'll rationalize it. They'll tell you, it's okay if I marry my adopted daughter. It's okay if I give a 13-year-old girl Quaaludes and have sex with her. She asked for the Quaaludes. It's okay if I have a powerful position and I can take advantage of somebody because they want something from me. Let me tell you what, Harvey Weinstein doesn't feel guilty. Why would he feel guilty? He's in a powerful spot to give away something coveted. This guy has the brass ring, but his is gold. If he anoints you, you are a star. You are making millions of dollars. You become a household name instantaneously. He's got a lot to give away. You must give something up. If you think that Hollywood sees this as wrong, let me explain, folks. When black leftists rob a house or rob a bodega and they go, I didn't steal nothing. They're like, I deserve that. Look at what I've been through. Harvey Weinstein's like, you have no idea what it took for me to get to this point where I could just get young, beautiful women to come essentially let me do things to them and shut their mouths. Pardon the pun. But are you kidding? I earned this right to get to here. If you don't think that Terry Richardson, photographer of the stars, doesn't feel like if I take you on as a client, you better be prepared to give it up. What are you talking about? I earned this privilege. I earned this right. This is my entitlement. And that's why these stars don't want to give it up. They don't want to upset the apple cart. They've recommended friends. How do you think let me tell you something. These people are bringing their friends in, and the same thing is happening to their friends, and their friends are going, that's just the price to pay. That's the going rate of stardom. Letting some big old Shrek looking fat dude prop your butt up on the casting couch. That's the price. Price I wouldn't pay. So this is huge. And anyway, I'm loving watching these rags try to spin stuff. And going back to Salon, who's recommending all these top Twitterers to follow. They got nothing to talk about. So they want you to go follow the anti-Trump crowd. Hey, we got nothing to say positive. We can't do anything right now because we're in triage. So, hey, here, go follow these anti-Trump people. Maybe that'll get your mind off of things for a while. They're trying to heal the wounds of their side. Hey, look, you may think that things are really bad, but they're not. Look on the other side. They've got all these people that hate Donald Trump. Just follow them on Twitter. Maybe that'll make your day because we don't have any good news to report. Harvey has made bad reporting for us. You should look at all these stories that are coming out. I'm not kidding you. They're fun to read because they don't have anywhere to go. The only thing they try to do is allude to something on the right that we've done wrong. Donald Trump grabbed women by the yank. Oh, really? It's getting pretty tired, guys, especially as more allegations come out.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
And speaking on, for the New York Times, our subscriptions have skyrocketed since, and they call it the Trump bump. The Trump bump.
This wasn't the first time we heard of the so-called Trump bump. Times audience strategy editor Nick Dudick made the exact same point.
Honestly, Trump has driven us more business than anybody else. Anytime he says failing, we get a boost in subscribers.
Really?
Yep. So it kind of works both ways.
The bump is real, abundantly clear by the Times second quarter financials. Total revenues are up 9% from the same period last year, including a 63% increase in digital subscriptions.
The Times, the Guardian, the BBC, not the Guardian, the BBC, the Washington Post, people who have paywalls up. The main objective is to grab subscribers. Yeah. You do that any way that you can.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. The Trump bump. The reason why I wanted to bring that up and talk about that is very simple. It sounds like what they're saying is, the negative press that Trump, with their negative reporting or whatever, is helping the paper and all that. That's not what the Trump bump is. The Trump bump is the fact that Donald Trump is a news manufacturer. He creates the news. And at the very end, you kind of get a feel for why I wanted to bring this up, this particular subject. It isn't that their negativity about Trump is helping them. It's the fact that, number one, they still need Trump in order to get that bump that they got. Barack Obama couldn't give them an Obama bump, but they got a Trump bump. But the real thing is what she said at the end, which is, we will do whatever it takes to acquire subscriptions. There are people that want you to pay for subscriptions. And they're saying we need to figure out a way to get you to give us your information, and then they bombard you. I don't know if you've seen this. If you go to a New York Times and you read an article, it'll give you a limit. You only have 3 more articles to read this month for free. And then it'll start to send you emails. I don't know whether it's using a scraper or whatever, but it'll start sending you emails that say, hey, get a New York Times subscription for $5. And if you're a news source and you're using the New York Times quite a bit, you might pay the $5 a month or whatever. So they need those subscriptions. Part of the reason is, even though their numbers are up. It's 9.2%. He said 9% in the deal, but it's 9.2%. The digital subscriptions is what they need. They don't want to print it anymore. It costs too much money. Even with it being 9.2% up, they're still not. There's a danger that they could go away. If they don't get the dollars, they could go away. People don't look at the New York Times paper the way they did a decade or two ago. It was the de facto paper. It still is. You can go anywhere practically in the world and you don't get the New York Times. There's hardly a paper, LA Times doesn't do that. Chicago Tribune. It's New York Times. So it's an international paper. And Barack Obama couldn't save it. It was going to take like what Jeff Bezos did with the Washington Post, where he bought it and said, I'll put as much money as it needs to run. You guys don't worry about money. Just go find me dirt on Trump. And that's what they try to do. So it's helping everybody that Donald Trump's the president and he's getting things out there. But the bigger thing is this. They want the subscription. They need the digital data. This is the same premise that Facebook runs on, folks. Same premise that Twitter, that Google, all these guys want the data. They want to know what you're searching on, why you're searching on it. And then instead of, it used to be this, they would say, wow, Kevin, you seem to have a lot of information or a lot of, propensity to go look for things that are conservative. Good stories about conservatives, whatever. So they profile you. And it used to be that they would say, well, look, you tend to be very conservative. I'm going to go find things that are conservative and put them in your wheelhouse. Now, I don't mind, I search for everything. I don't mind them saying, you appear to be conservative, but every now and then we're going to put a little salt with your sugar, throw you a leftist piece of news. Maybe that'll help you to see the other side or spur thought. I don't mind that, but they don't do that. Now they take your algorithm and they say, or your information, they use their search algorithm to say, he's a hardcore conservative. I'm going to give him things to think about. I'm going to send him tons of global warming. I'm going to send him tons of Harvey Weinstein's not nearly as bad of a guy as you may think he is. I'm going to send you all these types of things that counter what he may be thinking. And hopefully it'll change his mind. Now, do you think that these guys are doing that same thing with leftists? You think that they're going, you know what? These leftists, they're still trying to, figure out about Harvey Weinstein, and this is just wrong, and we need to send them something that says this is terrible. And so they bombard them with terrible news about Harvey, or, that this is bad and we shouldn't let it happen and all that. Nope. They're using these algorithms to change our hearts and minds, or try to. And they're doing nothing for them against themselves. Nothing. So the Trump bump is real. Now the question is, we have to figure out how the Trump bump can negatively impact them. And this is what I would be doing as a business strategist. I'd say, okay, great, you're getting a bump on the president. And for the record, that's good. I want business to be good for everybody. Trump, he should raise the ocean for all people. Now the question is, how do we make you eat this? So that video where they're talking about, we have this thing called the Trump bump. Well, my question is, so that goes to say you didn't have an Obama bump. And in fact, my question would be, what was your circulation? What were you doing prior to Obama? How well was biz? As we would say in the vernacular, how you living, bro? How were you living when Barack Obama was at the helm? And people were in triage. The Washington Post was in danger of going out of business. Many of these papers, small town papers, they're going out of business because people don't want to read print, number one. And number two, they don't want to read lies. So how's that going? And if we had a number, a baseline that we could follow on this, wouldn't it be good to be able to report that baseline and say, aha, you lost 12%, or whatever, 6% during the time of Obama, and you maybe righted the ship a bit, but then along comes Donald Trump, the guy you say is going to ruin things for everybody, and suddenly you get a 9.2% bump that you've given a name to, the Trump bump. Why are we not marketing the Trump bump and explaining to the left that Donald Trump got these people a bump when Obama couldn't name. They ain't naming anything after Barry. You get what I'm saying, folks? This is where I come back to strategies. These people know this. The people at the head of the New York Times and all these other places, they know it. I'd love to look at their financials. Don't allow them to say, well, we've turned it around. Look at what we've done. You didn't do anything. They named it. I didn't name it. They named it the Trump bump for a reason. They know where it originates. How about you let other businesses experience that bump?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, back at you. KJRadio.com, on demand 24/7. 844-551-8255 if you want to talk to me. Talk to me. Come on. Want to talk to you. Anyway, here's the thing I want to focus on for a bit, and I want to talk about feminism. An acquaintance of mine named Jackie had this piece that she wrote about. It was on her Facebook page on feminism that I found profound in so many ways. It reminded me of Phyllis Schlafly, and it applies to what's going on in the secular world of Hollywood and, quite frankly, elsewhere, and how feminism has put this ugly face on womanhood and given it this thing that makes women feel empowered when in fact we're showing, and what Harvey Weinstein proved, and the feminists and the Holly weirdos and other leftist progressives, they hate this. He's proven that women are powerless against Weinstein, the god. That's what Meryl Streep called him, a god. She was essentially admitting he can do what he wants. And let me tell you, I said this earlier in the broadcast, had Harvey Weinstein's brother not outed him, he would continue doing what he wants. They would have to subtly go after him. Now, if you don't believe that, ask yourself a very simple question. I asked it earlier as well. Where are the other people that have done this? We know they're out there. People, go look at the stories related to Weinstein, where people say, that same thing happened to me with a producer. That happened to me with a director. Yeah, so-and-so, I was doing blah, 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 and I went to do this, and the producer, director, the gaffer, whoever, star after star comes out. Yeah, I got hit on, I got this, they grabbed this, that, and the other. And not a single one of them has told us a new name. What's it been that we've outed Harvey? 10 days, a week? He's over in rehab. Stories are abound. Go do your research. Reese Witherspoon just admitted somebody did it to me, but she wouldn't say who. It's amazing. So we got to guess. Hey, Reese, is there somebody sitting in that person's office right now hoping to get a role? Why don't you tell us who it is? Anyway, I think feminism has brought this on. I'm not saying it doesn't happen to men, but feminism has made men effeminate. Feminism has made more gay men than the pill, than prison. Feminism makes men effeminate. These women are powerful women. They want weak, submissive men. I don't know why. You can be a powerful woman and have a powerful man. That's the way it used to be. Haven't you guys seen the movie 300? When King Leonidas, his queen, is there, she's talking smack to the Persian. She's like, you're a woman, you speak. What are you doing speaking? She says, hey, what do you mean what am I doing speaking? She says, what are you doing speaking? Only Persian women give birth to real men. Shoot. She was in the dude's face. Leonidas he backed her play. Kicked him down the hole. Y'all remember? See, that was when women, she respected her husband. He was the king of the castle. Anyway, Jackie says this. When godless women take over, they often do it with sexuality. Godly women would never take over. They know God's hierarchy. Now, when you hear that, women are, even some conservative women, oh, she's talking about a woman has to be, downplayed by, subservient and all these other things. She says, She writes, keep in mind current events with women declaring their right to be as immodest and sexually free as they please. As I've said many times before, when women publicly show sexuality, it is not because they love men or even like them. When Herodias was offended by John the Baptist and therefore wanted him killed, she pimped out her daughter sexually to numb Herod with sexual stimulation and put him in a weakened state of mind. Jezebel, whose name is associated with idolatry, prostitution, and sorcery, wanted her husband's power and influence to cause Israel to worship Baal. She murdered and painted her face for this effort. She's also considered to be one of the first suffragettes fighting for independence. Modern women's emancipation and freedom in the 60s came first and foremost with sex. Nancy Pelosi pimped out Sandra Fluke for women's rights and birth control. Nothing new under the sun. God's order is for men to be in the head. This is a responsibility and a burden. As equal heirs, we as women are to be the symbols of a submitted church. This is a responsibility and a burden. It's very difficult to rein in human nature for power, but love is always expressed as the denial of self for another. Always. Just as Christ expressed it on the cross. I'm not trying to be preachy here. I'm not trying to be sanctimonious. I'm just telling you, if you look at society, I almost said society because that's what it is. If you look at society through the eyes of a person who is a theist, who has a belief in God of some sort, you see this. Feminism is war against God. There is no independence for the church from God, just as there is no independence for women from men. That is why spiritual law is also natural law. She writes this: 6 decades ago, the full throttle of the women's movement began with birth control, drugs, and emancipation from marriage and motherhood. Today, it's come to growing numbers of sexual assault accusations, not just against celebrities, but business, college men. We've seen a 9-year-old boy charged with harassment for calling a teacher cute. High school boys charged for not stopping a girl from drunk driving. There are real crimes going on, but criminalizing innocent men has always been part of the feminist platform. It's the goings-on of brothels and harems. Marriage numbers are down. Divorce numbers are up. We will offend God, but we tiptoe around women's feelings. The American culture, after 60 years of the women's movement and leftist men all too happy to follow along, is an orgy of every wicked act under the sun. That's what she writes. I got to tell you, I reached out to Jackie. I was like, Jackie, this is deep stuff. So feminism wants men responsible for women, but gives them no authority. They want men to pay for their birth control. They want men to be responsible for children that they have no ability to say, I want or don't want, other than not committing the sexual act. But if that's committed and a woman decides what to do, the man has no authority. Women want the authority, but they don't want the accountability. They want somebody else to cover it. That would be the man. Cover my birth control, cover my child. If in the event I don't use birth control, you still have to be the person bearing the responsibility. The church is similar. It wants God responsible for everything while refusing his authority. The only place we unanimously reject this backwards thinking is in business, where money is involved. It's all backwards. So I hearken back to Harvey Weinstein. I look at where we are with these young ladies being essentially prostituted to Hollywood. Not just to Harvey, to the system of it. They always talk about, the left talks about systematic indoctrination of this or that, or systematic racism and systematic whatever. Let me tell you something. Look at where it occurs. The feminist movement claims that it's making all these strides, and right under its nose, in its midst, where all of its most powerful people exist, it says, I give authority to men. It doesn't give any authority to God. It doesn't give any authority to the church, but it gladly cedes that authority over to wretched men. But they'll look at you ladies, you conservatives, who say, you know what? I have no problem respecting my spouse as the head of the house and making him live up to both his duty and his burden, as she lives up to her duty and her burden to be a good woman, a good mother, a good spouse, a good lady, and to pass on these traditions to her daughter so that we can avoid these types of Holly weirdo situations. And the left, do you think the left cares? How many of these parents of these daughters do you think, if they knew what was happening, Ashley Judd's, her mom's a conservative, but look at all these ladies that have sent their daughters, and men have sent their daughters there, and knowing what's going on, do you think they'd look back on it and go, I wouldn't have done. They're all like, look at my daughter, she's amazing, she just got a new award, woohoo, look at her. Women's movement. The women's movement is responsible for so much negative in this country. It's shameful. And look, I come back to, I'm not talking about women being put into positions of authority, women being respected as equals to men in intellect, and so on. I have no issue with that, 0%. I love seeing women in power, as long as they're wielding it effectively, without the way that Weinstein does or something like that. I applaud the women's movement for that, but not for the other stuff.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177, or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Lots to talk about in the news, but too many bigger points to be made with some of the things that are happening. We will get back to, like, there's a story I want to do on the Clinton State Department. Have you guys heard about the allegations of sexual misconduct of Hillary Clinton's State Department? Wow. This is a story that's, quite frankly, it's amazing. Comey, new information regarding him preemptively saying Hillary Clinton's going to be considered innocent. We knew this, but now they've got the records. Judicial Watch has gotten these records. So we'll be talking about that. I want to mention studies that you're funding. I'm going to talk to you about a study that you're going to, Kevin, you're joking. They're not funding this study. Yeah, no, they're funding it. So that hustler mogul, what's his name, Larry Flint, what he's wanting to do. Megyn Kelly in the news. Lots to talk about, but lots to digest, because we are now at a point where we have leftism, progressivism on the run like we've never had, and honestly, like we never will again unless we take advantage of it now. It's that simple. Leftists will market their way out of killing babies and selling baby parts. Anybody remember? I remember thinking this has got to bring Planned Parenthood down. Planned Parenthood is nothing more than organized eugenesis. It's the organized destruction of people that it calls the lower class, and that happens to be mostly blacks at this point. That's what they believe. I don't believe that, but Planned Parenthood does. So they want to kill black babies in disproportionate numbers, and they use the women's movement to hide behind it. Or to hide, I should say, to hide their evil, real, sinister motives. And so that's where we are. And I thought, surely when folks find out they're selling baby parts and talking about buying Ferraris and Lamborghinis, that would be enough to break the camel's back. They've roared back stronger than ever. I mean, under Barack Obama. Now, we'll see what President Trump does. I don't think they're going to gain a lot of foothold under him, but they should be gone. I want you to imagine if the Republicans were all about eugenics and they were going to crush black folks, and that was the goal, the ultimate goal. You knew that the founder of the organization was a white racist by the name of Margaret Sanger, who hung out with the Vanderbilts and people that wanted to kill blacks. She was a friend of the Klan, spoke at multiple Klan meetings, and then people in the Republican Party were extolling her virtues, giving out awards, and then you knew the statistics of Planned Parenthood was they killed black people at 300% more than they kill any other race of people, and the president supported it, and the government funded it. What would you say? How would the left be handling that? Are you kidding? We all know. They would be, are you kidding? Those Republicans, they just want to kill black people. And the marketing of that would be, it would have you think the California forest fires are killing people? Let me tell you something. They would be torching Republicans. Republicans would never get elected again if that was our legacy. If that was the tactic that we were using to exterminate black folks. The dregs of society, Margaret Sanger called black people human weeds. I say it a lot, but I can't say it enough. So if you don't keep your foot on their throats, leftists will find a way to come back. They're like phoenixes. They will rise from the ashes. Look at Hillary Clinton. This chick should be in prison. The nerve of her to be out here talking about stuff. She's talking about Harvey Weinstein and comparing him to Donald Trump. That's like Hitler's girlfriend talking about how bad the Jews were, saying negative things about the Jews. Are you kidding? She's making a comment about Weinstein and comparing him to Trump. This is a woman whose husband has hurt more women than Donald Trump could in 5 lifetimes. Then they trotted out old girlfriends of Trump. You remember the model, kind of Italian-looking girl? And she goes, I did an interview. They completely took my interview out of context. She came out and said, that's not what I said. After all the media picked it up, Donald Trump's previous girlfriend doesn't like him. And she never said that. She had to come out and say, I didn't say that. I like Donald Trump. Those are some of the best times of my life being with him and blah, blah, blah. And the media was like, oh, well, sorry we didn't finish her sentence. It's an evil, destructive thing, the left. We talked the other day about WikiLeaks uncovering that they were plotting to say Donald Trump had other sexual harassment claims. They're still talking about it to this day. Alyssa Milano, the crazy little fat, whatever, I forget what show she was on, but with Tony Danza, that chick still coming out, trying to make Trump out to be some lecherous human being while right under her nose in the very city where she lives, the Sodom and Gomorrah of America, Hollyweird. She's not saying a word. I didn't want to say anything about what Harvey Weinstein did with me because it was out of respect for his wife. No, it wasn't. It was because your D-list butt doesn't want to not get a job if he offers you one. And who knows what she'd do to get it. It's amazing. Lie after lie, deception after deception. Look, folks, we, as conservatives, we are fallible. We lie, we cheat, we do all the different things of the left. But you know what? We at least have some kind of a core that goes, holy cow, that's just terrible. That's bad. And I can tell you this, I believe this in my heart. There's no way, and if there was a conservative version of Hollywood, there's no way a Weinstein survives a year, much less 3 decades. No way. Somebody gets after him, and it isn't going to be his brother. It's going to be some strong woman, conservative woman who would have stood up to somebody and said, hey, I don't know how you think it works here, but this is not going to happen. She would have gone public. People would have backed her up. That person would have been gone. End of story. There's no fat shaming. We would say things like, well, this role is really meant for someone that's a little bit, carrying a little bit less weight. Are you interested in losing weight for the role? Because the role involves an anorexic or the role involves someone who, who's a smaller weight and picks it up. And, we don't want to have you pick up weight. We would be explaining it, but we wouldn't be like, yeah, you're too fat. Get out of here. If you lose weight, then you'd be blankable. That's what they say. Hollywood's become so crass, they don't even have to mince words with you. And there was a movie called Hollywood Shuffle. Black dude made it. I forget his name. And it's a stupid movie, but it's actually funny. And it talks about Hollywood, the roles they get for black folks, how they say, we need you to be more black. And the guy doing it, he's like, more black. And he's like, okay. So, and he was reading a scene like, something like, yeah, man, and the dude jumped out of the corner and he robbed the dude. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, no, we're going to need you to be more black. And he goes, okay, I'm playing somebody that's seen something happen in the hood. And yeah, but we want it to be more black. And it's always these Jewish people. Could you be a bit more black? Yeah. So he tries to be more black. He's like, yeah, man, so then this dude, he jump out in front. And they're like, no, you're just not getting it. We need you to be more black, And the guy's like, he just ends up buffooning blackness. And they're like, oh, yeah, there, you got it. That's it right there. And he's making a spoof of all the nonsense Hollywood makes you jump through. And one of the scenes he says, you need to be more like Eddie Murphy. And he morphs himself to where he finally is mimicking Eddie Murphy. And it's a funny movie, but it's a real condemnation of Hollywood as it pertains to blacks. I'm not even going to be able to get into this Harvey Weinstein thing. I wanted to. I'll talk about it next hour. But Hollywood it's spiraling in on itself, and it is our responsibility to not only to get Hollywood to continue this death spiral. It's up to us to get the fashion industry to continue its death spiral. I don't know if you ever watch these fashion shows. Lots of gay people. And there's lots of gay people in fashion. And the same thing that's happening in Hollywood is happening in fashion. It's happening to men and sometimes to women. Same thing. Power brokers want what they want, and you will indulge them or you're not going to get ahead. That's the way it works. They've all worked too hard to get where they are. And it's a shame because we have people in the conservative movement that don't understand. We have to build a marketing, a message around what we're seeing here. And we have to go sell that message to the youth of this country so they don't fall prey to it. Think about the decades of people who have overlooked this and ask yourself, why did they do it? They knew it was wrong. They knew it was hurting friends, and yet they've remained silent, and they still do. Ask yourself why that occurs.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Kevin Jackson Radio Show, and I have one word for you. It is Nerf. You can get a hold of us, by the way, 24/7 at kjradio.com. Call us at 844-551-8255. Nerf, I say. And you're saying, Kevin, what are you talking about? I did. I said Nerf. You know what Nerf is. You guys are looking at me like I'm crazy. You know what Nerf is, right? Nerf, the guns. Nerf. Have you seen the evolution of the Nerf guns? Remember when the Nerf gun was a single shooter? You load that thing in a chamber and pew, you load it in and pow, and the air thing sent it out, and it was a little thing, and it was harmless because it could hit you almost in the eyeball and still be okay. Well, Nerf now has, have you seen these guns? These things have, like, what do they call it? The clip. It's got my son has Nerf guns that look like Rambo made them, designed by Rambo. designed by Al Qaeda. These guns are amazing. I was wondering, is Nerf screwing Harvey Weinstein? How can they still make these kind of weapons? I get their, the toys. The best one my son has a turret on it. It looks like that. They call it what they call it, the cutter. Jesse Ventura used it in a Predator. It just mows down the jungle. You know which one I'm talking about, right? That gun, he's got a Nerf gun that looks just like that. You load 20 bullets in it, and it has a spinning turret, and you just, and you can just do it individually, pop, 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 or you can put it in auto mode and just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and this thing will spray Nerf at you. It's amazing to watch. I love that gun. I love it. If you're going to be in a Nerf war, that's the one you want. And then he's got a little 6-shooter. It looks like a revolver. And you load the Nerf, things. I think it holds 6. Put it in there, but you have to pump it. Pow, pow, pow. Nerf. How does Nerf get to still survive in a leftist world? And they run advertisements day and night and day. They come out with new, more dangerous Nerfs every single season. And the thing that bugs me about them is sometimes the things don't always fit. The little, they make different inserts, so you gotta buck up on the inserts. But I'll tell you, I have a blast with them. But I have to ask the question: who is Nerf sleeping with to get to make these guns? Everybody else is under fire. You can't even make the gun symbol in school, or you get arrested. Third graders getting arrested. Hey, Mom, you come bail me out. I'm down in the big house, made a gun symbol with my finger. Did you do that at your teacher's son? No, Mom, I was just like, just telling one of my friends, like, hey, we're going to go shooting after the school. I don't know. You get what I'm, look, one kid, what did he do? He made a bread. He formed his bread into an L shape. And they said it's a gun. And the kid's like, it's a gun. Looks like an L to me. Or an R. Could it not be a letter? Leftists now see guns in everything as they try to blame Vegas on conservatives. We know what Vegas is about. I'm just saying, the only reason I bring this up is Christmas season's coming up. You may be thinking about getting your kids some kind of a gift. And I'm thinking, how many of you, do you own a Nerf? Do you guys have Nerf guns? I know you don't have kids, but do you guys have Nerf guns? Have you played with Nerf guns? Yes, they've evolved. Am I right? They're a lot more fun. My son's one of them. I use double D batteries in this Nerf gun. That's how powerful this thing is. And you can tell when it's kind of winding down. Whoa, 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 whoa. That thing, when you put the fresh batteries in, it just goes to town. I love that thing. You know what? I ain't mad at if Nerf is sleeping with Hollywood and giving a little up there to the DC bureaucrats. Good for y'all, because I get to play with my son's really cool Nerf weapons. He's got a whole assortment. We gave some to charity, because you got to give your guns away. I mean, come on. We gave some to charity because I was telling him, I said, do you play with these guns? Because he got 2 one time for his birthday from his brothers. I said, are you still playing with those? He goes, nah, Dad, I got these really cool ones over here, with the 25 round clips and stuff that would be outlawed if Nerf wasn't sleeping with some bureaucrats. But apparently they can get away with this. Nerf might have like for all I know, they got a turret that holds 150 Nerf bullets, and the left says nothing. They leave them alone. Same thing with the water cannons, water guns. A brother holds the patent for the Super Soaker. I didn't know. I mean, I learned this about a year and a half ago. Yeah, a black dude sold the rights. $5 million, instant millionaire. Saw a need. Anyway, look, Christmas season's coming up. I want to buy my kid this, but we gave these Nerf guns to the homeless, to these kids, not to the homeless, but to kids that are in, not foster care, but living with their mothers in shelters and things like this. We give them these, and they enjoy it. They really love them. Extra bullets and stuff. Why shouldn't they get? I mean, sometimes for these kids, that's as close as they get to a weapon until they get to the age of 12 and they go get their own illegal one. Yeah, that's as close as they get. Somebody's got to start these kids out on the straight and narrow. I'm not even being funny about that. At least they get a chance to see, the physics of Nerf bullets and things like that. Work it out for yourselves till you get into school, till you drop out in the 8th grade. Yeah, I'm being hard on them. Being hard on leftists. I would love to get kids like that. Take them out to my friend Jay Novacek's ranch in Texas and let them go work that ranch. See how meat is processed. How you farm animals. Animal husbandry is what they call it. Farming and ranching. And then let them shoot. Shoot a can. See what a firearm is like. Then let them go hunting and see what a bullet can do to a body, but that you process the meat, that hunting is only meant to feed your family and things like this. That's what these kids need. Yeah. And then they can go do Nerf battles afterwards and see that there is a time when you can use a real weapon and there's a time when you can have fun with a Nerf firearm. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. I don't know why Nerf was on my mind. I saw a commercial. My kid was watching the show, and I said, you know what? I don't even know how these guys still exist. It made me wonder, how could they possibly exist in the climate that we're in? You would think they would ban Nerf. Maybe it's because of Nerf making Frisbees and other products. I don't know. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. What do we want to talk about? It was a little bit more on Weinstein. Clinton State Department. Hot story there. Seriously. Comey, he's going to be back in the news soon. Folks, we are winning so much in the battle against leftism and progressivism. It's scary. It really is. It makes you wonder, come on, God, don't be setting us up now. But we know he's got the right plan. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I was thinking about Megyn Kelly, a friend of mine, and I wish Megyn success, but I'm thinking, you know what? She may have to book Harvey Weinstein post-rehab in order to make a comeback. Because outside a lot of has-beens, it appears Hollywood wants no part of Megyn. This is a story that was in Variety. They say publicists have essentially blacklisted Megyn Kelly's show. And here's what it says. I'm not booking anyone on her show, says a high-powered publicist with a roster of big names who asked for anonymity due to her overall relationship with Today. I literally haven't pitched anyone, even from right out of the gate. The buzz that is out there is so bad. Another well-known publicist who represents one of the celebrities who appeared on Kelly's show wasn't pleased with the interview. I won't plan to have others go on, the publicist said. None specifically have been offered or asked to, but it'll be my preference not to. Part of the problem is self-inflicted, as Kelly's interviews have been somewhat embarrassing. For example, her reference to Jane Fonda's plastic surgery. I don't know if you guys saw that interview. I was feeling sorry for her myself. I mean, I don't dislike Megan, but I think that she made some bad moves. But Fonda pretends to be outspoken about the work, and I'm using my finger quotes, that she's had done on her face and probably elsewhere. But even a novice journalist knows not to ask questions about such things. Megan read something where Jane Fonda said, I don't make any apologies for the work I've had done. Plastic surgery. I make no apologies for it. And so Megan looked at it as, this will be an empowering moment. I will say something that'll be profound. It'll be a tribute to Jane Fonda's feminism and her war for women and blah, blah, blah. And she says something like, you've been very outspoken about the work you've had done. And I just think that, it's a tribute to you, and you look phenomenal. And Jane Fonda's like, I didn't think I would be talking about it. So here's what it is. Fonda's a hypocrite. She's not fond of the work she's had to have done. She wants people to believe it's natural. That's why you have work done. You want people to go, everybody that knows you knows you've had work done. But everybody that's new to you doesn't. Fonda's going, I'm going to be in front of a new audience. What are you doing talking about my plastic surgery? I want these people to look at me and go, who's that lady that looks 50 years old? That's Jane Fonda. She's 89 and a half or whatever. And here's Megan asking this question, and Fonda shoots back, oh, yeah, the movie. Yeah, the movie's a lot of fun. And she completely makes Megan look like an idiot. Putin did the same thing. The very first interview. It got good ratings for her, but it diminished her as a journalist. So anyway, I'm just saying, I don't know what's going to happen with her. Plastic surgery, I know this is like pregnancy. Don't ask, don't tell. But the ratings for her show are horrible. Page 6 said that she's dragging down the entire Today Show franchise. In her time slot, Kelly's show lost 32% compared to last year. But what's worse is Kelly's show was to be the on-ramp for the show that follows. That's the way they do it. They position one thinking, okay, she'll come in strong and we'll get a carryover audience that'll give us that, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whatever audience. I don't know which. But Kathy Lee Gifford and Hoda, I don't know how to say her last name, but it's like Hoda Cobe or something. They dropped 26%. And they're blaming it. Look, it could very well just be that Kathy and Hoda are not very good. Kathy Lee, I've watched Kathy Lee a long time. When she, and with touting her relationship with Frank Gifford and blah, blah, blah. And I watched her, and she's a bubbly personality. But she's, Kathy's getting a little long in the tooth. There are a lot of people that could do her job that you're going to want to watch. I don't know who it is, but they're out there. Anyway, they said this. It was a quote. Too many people are turning out NBC. Hoda and Kathy Lee had been a bright spot in the mornings. People are alarmed, the source said of the slide. Another source told us today talent is concerned. The format for Megan's show doesn't make sense. Her show distracts from today's franchise, a second source said. So they're watching Megan. They're going, it's not a fit. And I think most of us probably believe the same thing. I've made it, she struggles to make this transition from politics to pop culture. And Megyn Kelly doesn't understand Hollywood, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, as the Harvey Weinstein saga suggests, but her new role differs greatly from the role she had at Fox News. Now, is Kelly tough enough to buck the system and pull an Ellen of sorts? Because Ellen was openly gay, blah, blah, blah. But only time's going to tell. But likely she won't have a lot of time to figure things out. Greta Van Susteren was gone, I think, 6 months? Greta lasted? I think Kelly's clock, they've given her a lot of money. I think it's $17 million. And me and a friend were talking about it, and he said to me, what happens to her if she loses this? I go, where'd she go? I go, I don't know. The only thing I could think, she might take over one of these, drama shows where she becomes the face of like Tamron Hall, who left NBC because she couldn't stand Megyn Kelly. And now she's doing some, show where it's murder and they explore the subject matter. Why was this person killed and this, that, and the other. So maybe Megyn goes there. Now, $17 million. I'm sure the first year's guaranteed. I don't know what they'd have to buy her out at, but it's nothing to sneeze at. But her lifestyle might change a bit if she can't get something else. But I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen. What did NBC expect? Did they think that Megyn Kelly was going to bring a Fox audience with her? And then she's making a transition from politics to pop culture, and all the pop culture people were revolting against her because she's an ex-Fox person. I'm not booking anybody on the show. Look at who she had. She had a Fox News lady who was harassed by Harvey Weinstein. Good get, because I don't know if anybody else is going to talk to her. Then she had Jane Fonda and Robert Redford. Two old saddlebags. Come on. There are so many more interesting people that she could get. Chadwick Boseman's about to drop a new movie, Black Panther. I talked about it. He's dropping that movie. Get Chadwick out there. That'd get you a black audience. There's so many things. I'm not going to try to figure it out for her. It's not for me. But I'll tell you this. It shows the brand of Fox was more important than Megyn Kelly. And it shows, quite frankly, that I'm not trying to say she's not good at what she does, because I think she is. But if you believe the hype that it's all about you, you get what you deserve in Hollywood. I don't know why Megyn made that transition, but let me tell you, there's a lot of conservatives going, yeah, see, we told you. Maybe you're one of them. Anyway, we got a lot more to talk about. Back in a bit.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
So following this breaking news out of Washington, some serious allegations this morning facing the State Department.
That's right. According to internal State Department memos, the agency might have called off or intervened in investigation into possibly illegal and inappropriate behavior within its ranks, allegedly to protect jobs and avoid scandals. This concerns the time that Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. We want to get right to NBC's chief White House correspondent, Chuck Todd, with the latest. Chuck, good morning to you.
Good morning, Savannah. There's an old saying in Washington that the cover-up is worse than the crime. But in this case, both parts of it are disturbing. Allegations of prostitution and pedophilia, and allegations that those crimes were somehow covered up or not looked into. So the State Department this morning is having to respond to those claims and those investigations of misconduct by State Department officials, including by an ambassador and security agents attached to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And the allegations are that these investigations were whitewashed, quashed altogether, and that those orders came from high up.
NBC News has obtained documents related to ongoing investigations into some disturbing allegations involving State Department personnel and at least one ambassador. A State Department memo says the ambassador, quote, routinely ditched his protective security detail in order to solicit sexual favors from both prostitutes and minor children. The memo also says a top State Department official directed department investigators to, quote, cease the investigation into the ambassador's conduct. It's just one of what another document describes as, quote, several examples of undue influence from top state officials.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. That report was from 2013. You guys probably don't even remember it, right? That was 2013. You have politicians covering up inappropriate behavior is what they call it. Illegal and inappropriate behavior related to prostitution and pedophilia. Covered up, not looked into. An ambassador and security agents, people that were under then Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton, and orders were to cover it up. Now, this guy, the ambassador, they say, ditched his protective details so that he could go be with prostitutes and underage children. Somebody from high up in the Obama administration said, squash the story, and the media did it. And you want to know why Hollywood has covered up for Weinstein? You're getting a look at exactly what happens when Hollywood and the left, powerful people, decide the rules don't apply to them. These are the people that will tell you they want to help children as they essentially prostitute them, that they want to help women as they objectify them and use them. And they want to let black folks know, we want to help you. They want to let Mexicans know, we want to help you. If the left says they want to help you, trust me, they're going to give you a street corner and they're going to show up asking for their money periodically. And you're going to go, this wasn't the way I thought we were going to be helping each other. Fast forward, Harvey Weinstein. They claim that because of what's happened, he may break the silence in Hollywood. Now, I've talked earlier in the broadcast and said, okay, I'm waiting on it. The only silence that's been broken in Hollywood thus far is everybody willing to pile on Harvey. Okay, get it. He's at the bottom of the pile. I see all of you stacked up like a big old leftist Christmas tree. I get it. But what are you really doing to change Hollywood? Because I've yet to hear of a single other allegation from Hollywood on anybody else. Here's what Variety writes. Harvey Weinstein's implosion has been cathartic for Lauren Sivan, one of the dozens of women who have come forward in recent days alleging that once celebrated mogul was a serial sexual harasser and abuser. It's a moment of justice and public condemnation that seemed all but impossible to imagine mere weeks ago when Weinstein enjoyed a position as one of the most powerful figures in media, a skilled operator whose connections stretched from Capitol Hill to Wall Street and whose sense of entitlement knew no bounds. Now, folks, this is Variety magazine, a leftist rag writing about Harvey Weinstein, having to face the music. Do you get what I'm telling you? Sivan said, you reap what you sow. I know that he believed for years that he was untouchable, and a lot of people helped him be untouchable. Hollywood's veil of secrecy has been pierced, and such complicity and enabling may no longer be tolerated in a company town that has long protected its own. Now, I talked earlier, I ended up going into a different subject, so I wanted to come back to this. And I had said earlier that they want to make you believe that Hollywood is now ripe for change. And I jokingly put a meme up that said, yeah, Hollywood, nobody's coming out to say a word about anybody else. Harvey Weinstein is apparently the only one. They want you to believe that all the criminals, the sexual harassers in Hollywood have now been rolled into Harvey, and we're dumping him. So guess what, everybody? The rest of them will clean up their acts. We don't need to embarrass anybody else. And I said, yep, change we can believe in, because I wanted to use Obama's terminology to say nothing is going to change in Hollywood. It's only going to get worse. They'll cover up for a little bit. Hey, everybody, cease and desist on the casting couch. All right? Let's just chill for a little bit. But let me tell you, you don't come to power like that and be able to wield it. These are people that don't stay in power a long time. They really don't. Studio heads change quite often. Who's the best actor who gets the best roles is subject to change at any time. The majority of Hollywood people are just rotating. There's only a few heavyweights, the De Niros, Kevin Spacey, people like that. There's only a few of them. when you really think about all the waiters and waitresses, even the people that get bit parts and things that you recognize their faces, they're just in Hollywood struggling, man. They are at the mercy of a system that says you got to be beautiful, you got to be with the in crowd, you got to have money, you got to have clout, you name it. And what these people are willing to do for it would blow your little freaking minds. Anyway, they said, we're shining a bright light on aggressors and powerful offenders as an example to every other employee out there. That's what TV commentator Wendy Walsh, who was one of O'Reilly's accusers. Let me tell you something. Bill O'Reilly, in comparison to Harvey Weinstein, is a saint. And I by no means believe that Bill O'Reilly's a saint. But compared to Weinstein, are you kidding? And that's not to exonerate Bill O'Reilly. He shouldn't have done what he did. I don't know what he's done, to be honest with you. His allegations are still just accusations for the most part. Weinstein's are pretty much acceptable. People have accepted these women as telling the truth about Harvey. Shining a bright light. And I look at this. We're shining a bright light on aggressors and public offenders, plural. They're shining no bright lights on anybody except Harvey Weinstein. Folks, a sale is being made right now. A sale. They are selling you and me, trying to, on the idea that they're cleaning up their act. Harvey's it. Ask yourself, there have been many opportunities. I've read all the stories. I'll use Reese Witherspoon I used earlier, not for Hollywood purposes, but for the sake of this discussion. Yeah, she's a pretty girl, but I did not use her. But Reese Witherspoon talked about an encounter at 16 with somebody, and she didn't name a name. Terry Crews didn't name a name. Other people have mentioned other people outside of Harvey Weinstein, and you cannot, I dare you, go find an article where somebody said it was this producer when I was this age and it happened on this location. Even anything close to that. You can't find it. So my question to everybody is, why? Why are they, if you're going to pull the veil back and you're looking for a time to do it, look, if I was an actor and somebody had done that crap to me and I felt powerless to do something and I learned that Weinstein had done it to other people, I would be narking on I would be like, man, I walked in the old boy's office. He was sitting there butt naked with his booty up on a chair. I was like, what do you want? What the world? Did I break in this? What am I doing here? No, Kevin, I just want you to come get in behind me. Well, it ain't going to happen. I'd be calling fools out. That's what I would be doing. Why? Because this is the time when you are believable. Guess what? I'm saying if it really happened, how many other people are going to go, hey, got to admit, same thing happened to me, Kev. Bruh, shoot. Denzel warned me. Don't take that role. Don't take that role, Kev. I'm just saying, why are they not? To me, this is the scandal. Why are they not saying anything? At the time when Hollywood is the most vulnerable. I'll answer that.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Fellow at the Robert J. Dole Institute. Like to think of myself as a thought leader of sorts. And my hope is that we are all thought leaders. That if I am a thought leader, I'm creating that same type of thought leadership in you, because I want to expose these leftists for who they are. I want to expose the lies. They want us to believe that they're going to revamp Hollywood. They're not revamping Hollywood any more than they revamped Planned Parenthood. We had Planned Parenthood on the ropes, and we let them off. Now we got to start over. It wasn't offensive enough that they killed babies, and we added to that. They kill the babies and sell their baby parts, sell the parts to go get themselves Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and they laugh about it in undercover videos, and we couldn't get rid of them. Shame on us. So we've got Hollywood saying, we're going to eradicate all this sexism, all this misogyny, all this war on women, all the things that they accuse men on the conservative side of the aisle of doing. Remember when Michelle Obama said, I look across the aisle and I see rich, white, Republican men. That's all they got. I look over here, we got all kinds of colors. We got reds and blacks and oranges and yellows and blues and hues and purples and men and women and you got sexual predators that live right, in wide open, condoned by people like Michelle Obama, who's over pointing the finger across the aisle at men who fight for righteousness. Those Republican men, you know what they did as she pointed her finger at them? They freed black people years ago from the very folks that Michelle Obama exonerates on her side of the aisle. Those men. Oh, well, Kevin, they're now progressives. They no longer feel that way. They don't want black people enslaved. Really? The very people who now say that slavery is when very wealthy black men or poor black men are hired by white men at a 70% rate, and those white men make those black men into multimillionaires, and that is now the new definition of slavery. That's the ones you want us to listen to? That's who's the voice of reason in this discussion? But Hollywood, they'll straighten out. Yeah, because you know what? Racism has been straightened out by Barack Obama and his ilk, right? Black folks feel like they've got a shot in America, don't they? Black folks aren't committing crime. Black folks are graduating high school and college at astronomical rates in comparison than before Barack Obama, are they not? Crime has been so far down in black communities, it's hardly noticeable. The police don't even need to go there. If a cop's in a black neighborhood, he's over there for no good. He's over there to make trouble. Women are doing great in the time of Barack Obama, are they not? Pregnancies are down, teenage pregnancies, high school dropout rates, business starts, all of it improved under Barack Obama, did it not? Not. Black folks lost ground, and the left will still tell you we're helping them. We're helping black people. Just like they're helping women. Hillary Clinton said, I've been working for decades to help women. I help women. I help women internationally. I help women, blah, blah, blah. We played a clip of Hillary talking about all the help she and Barack Obama gave to women all over. Not just American women, around the world.
Our society still does not sufficiently value women. We still don't condemn sexual assault as loudly as we should.
Women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights, and I believe that with all my heart.
We make excuses. We look the other way.
I went to 112 countries for all of you. I raised it in every country.
The message that sends can have a chilling effect on our young women.
I looked across the table at dictators and authoritarians and chauvinists and sexists and misogynists. Yeah.
I want to start by thanking Harvey Weinstein. He is a wonderful human being, a good friend, and just a powerhouse.
Got to give the GOP credit for that one. Good job, GOP. About time he did something. They're bringing it to the attention of it, this whole thing to the attention. Look, they said, we're shining a bright light on aggressors and powerful offenders as an example to every other employee out there. I'm reading from an article in Variety. As the chorus of accusers grows daily, as Weinstein finds himself isolated and abandoned by the A-list stars and directors he once claimed as friends, the conversation in Hollywood is pointing to a major shift. The hope in the industry is that the alleged, I love this, abhorrent behavior by Weinstein and the other perpetrators will trigger some genuine soul searching across the entertainment business and beyond. Right. Yeah, these guys are going to stop on a dime and they're going to reverse course. They're going to say, you know what? My power, it means nothing. I'm just going to leave it alone. And for the record, I was making a point earlier that these guys don't last long. You screw up a couple of films and you're done. You're toast. So they take advantage of what they can do as long as they can. Weinstein's lasted because he started his own company, Miramax. Then he sold it. And then he started another company, the Weinstein Company. And then he became top dog. He got a couple of good scripts and he's survived. A lot of these guys, they know I got 2 to 5 years. So they see their rise to the top as I better get all I can as long as I can. Yeah, I'm just telling you, that's what it is. They said, instead of simply inspiring big names in the industry to release anodyne comments that are light on substance and heavy on synonyms for deplorable, there's an urge to have a deeper conversation about how to improve the climate and culture in Hollywood so whistleblowers are supported and predators aren't rewarded with corner offices, private jets, and license to operate with impunity. Well, good luck with that. There's a system in place. Do you know there's a guy, not at Weinstein's company because his brother got him out, but there is a guy at every one of these companies who has witnessed what his boss is doing, or a girl, and they are ready to step in. The minute that person leaves, they're ready to step in. This is guys and girls. Fat shaming, color shaming, hair shaming, eye color shaming, skin color shaming, dialect shaming, everything. All of them. Trying to act like, this is something new. This article goes on. Pretty much all anyone can talk about is how can we prevent this situation from happening again? Yeah, I'm sure that's the buzz in Hollywood. That ain't the buzz in Hollywood. The buzz in Hollywood is, I'm hopeful that I can settle with enough people that nobody blows the whistle on me. How many phone calls do you think publicists and these they have these people, these sin eaters, these guys that go around and find the people that you've wronged, and they say, look, we understand we have some issues. You signed this non-disclosure, says you're not going to say anything. Bada bing, here's a check for $100,000. You're a waiter or waitress, that got rejected and had to give it up on the casting couch, and you need the money. Done. 6-figure payouts, you better believe, are happening all over that city. The people, watch the number of cars and apartments that get upgraded and things like that over the next year or so in Hollywood. They say all this. We all know the past can't be changed. All we can do is change the future. Whatever. Hollywood, you're not fooling us. This particular writer goes on to say this. But is an industry that gave convicted rapists Roman Polanski and Oscar lionized and named buildings for sexual predators like MGM founder Louis B. Mayer, and looked the other way as Weinstein's behavior with women became an open secret, ready to change? And you could go on. Alfred Hitchcock. Go look at all these old school producers and directors and what have you and watch. Go look at their records and then see, Google sexual, assault, sexual harassment, whatever. Google something. You'll find, settled with so-and-so, settled, didn't do, blah, blah, blah. They said, will the latest abuse scandal, the worst in modern day movie business history, force studios to embrace a zero tolerance environment where it will no longer be possible for powerful men to prey on actresses and underlings and not be held accountable for their bad behavior? We're asking this question in a time when, if you are Rex Tillerson at ExxonMobil and you were accused of this, there's not a hole deep enough to bury you in. There's nowhere you could hide on God's green earth. And they're asking this question, Hollywood, do we need to change our culture so that we can no longer do those kinds of things that nobody else can do? I don't know. What do you think? Will that disrupt Hollywood? What will it do to the system? if we allow this kind of change. It's too disruptive. And you're going to be people, it's too much. No, don't do it. Studio executives and filmmakers believe the litany of accusers who are coming out of the shadows could represent an inflection point in Hollywood. Come out of the shadows, folks. Start telling us who did it. They don't want to do that for a reason. They don't want to upend their business. They like it this way, folks.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.